All right, it's 7 o'clock, so I will now go ahead and call the July 22nd, 2024 Erlanger Board of Adjustment hearing to order. I'll take a roll call to determine if we have a quorum. Mr. Farrow?
Present.
Mr. McVeigh?
Present.
Mr. Osterhag, who is not here. Mr. Rolfe?
Present.
And Mr. Whalen, myself, I am present. We do have a quorum. Gentlemen, you have received a copy of the minutes. It should be in front of you for the June 24th, 2024 Board of Adjustment hearing. In going through it, I did have a couple of adjustments I wanted to make. Mr. Farrow's name, I know he's new to the board, is spelled once correctly and then twice two other different ways. So if we could just spell check and get it spelled the right way, F-A-R-R-O. And then on what I have in front of me, I would call page 4 of 5. It was BOA 24-0012. It just wanted to make sure the record reflects that there was the last motion that I made. It was regarding the appeal of the ordinance, the zoning ordinance requiring curb installation for phase 2. Mr. Rolfe did make a motion to overturn the zoning administrator's decision. It was not seconded and the motion failed. I just wanted that to be reflected. And then I made my motion for that to move forward. So does anybody else have any other corrections or edits they would like to make? Being none, I'll entertain a motion that the minutes be adopted with those corrections of Mr. Farrow's spelling of his name, and then also adding in the motion made by Mr. Rolfe. Do I have a motion?
Yeah, I suggest a motion.
And would that motion be seconded?
I'll second it.
Mr. McVeigh made the motion. Mr. Farrow seconded. Those in favor?
Aye.
Yeah, aye.
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 Those opposed? None. Minutes are approved. Are there any new postponements of any scheduled items to be made at this time?
None, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you very much. Normally, before we open the public hearing, I'd like to walk through kind of the procedures, but see that there's only staff and the applicant himself. I don't think we need to go through that. It should be pretty straightforward. So I will now open the public hearing where we have one item on tonight's agenda. I have in front of me the sign-in sheet. We have Ms. Bessie from PDS and the applicant. So I don't butcher your last name all night long. Guelphy? Guelphy. Mr. Guelphy, I'm sorry if I mess it up. I probably will. All right, Mr. Guelphy. All right. This should be it. So the first item on this evening's agenda is BOA-24-0015, 208 Division Street, applicant Ronald Guelphy. A request, a variance request to the Erlanger zoning ordinance to increase the cumulative floor area of all accessory buildings located in the rear yard in RCPS residential compact subdivision zone. In summary, the applicant is proposing to construct a 624 square foot detached garage, which will be in addition to the existing 504 square foot accessory building, 1,128 square feet in total in the rear yard, where 829 square feet is the total maximum allowed. And Ms. Bessie, we have you here. You're already at the podium. Thank you. To Ms. Bessie, were the appropriate notifications made?
KRS 100.
Make sure you hit your microphone on.
Thank you. Yes, per KRS 100.
All right, thank you very much. And to the board members, any conflicts of interest on this matter? No. There being none. Also, were there any site visits to declare? Being none. Ms. Bessie, I will need to swear you in. If you would, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
And for the record, would you please state your name and your role with staff?
My name is Megan Bessie, and I am with PDS staff as a principal planner.
Very good. The floor is yours.
Thank you. For the record, again, my name is Megan Bessie with PDS. As it was stated, the applicant is requesting a variance to request the cumulative floor area of all accessory buildings located in the rear yard in the RCPS zone as a variance. The site in question is approximately .33 acres and is located on Division Street. It's approximately 177 feet north of the intersection of Place Street and Division Street. Division Street is identified as a local street according to Direction 2030. The site is currently a single-family dwelling with a gravel driveway. There is a 504 square foot detached guest house and 196 square foot shed that is located in the rear yard. The surrounding area is single-family residential. As for the zoning, it is RCPS, and it's RCPS in all directions. For the existing land use, it is single-family residential, and again, it's the same classification in the surrounding area. This is the submitted site plan. There is an existing shed that was demolished as of July 4th. It was 196 square feet, but again, it has been demolished. There is an existing guest house that is 504 square feet, and that will remain, and then the construction of the 624 square foot detached garage. It will have, I think this is lagging, yes. It will have a side yard setback of 12 feet at the closest side yard. It will have a rear yard setback of 119 feet. And then all other setbacks are met besides the cumulative floor area. The driveway will be paved. And then the rear yard accessory structure total, so this is how it is calculated. So in the green, how we calculate that is, the green area is the rear yard. So the rear yard then totals 8,290 square feet in total. So your code then calls for 10% of that. And with the garage and the guest house, the cumulative floor area of those two structures adds up to 1,128 square feet total, where there's 829 square foot allowed according to the 10% of the total. This is what it will look like, the elevation drawings. It will be 12 feet in height, pewter gray in color with Hawaiian blue roof. This faces the property line in common with 206 Division Street to the southeast of the site. The double doors will face the property in common with 206 Division Street to the southeast, where the other faces the rear of the property to the northeast. And then this will face the existing home and toward the front property line. So again, just as a reminder, the applicant is requesting a variance to increase the cumulative floor area of all accessory buildings located in the rear yard in a CPS zone. The Erlanger zoning ordinance then states that the cumulative floor area of all accessory buildings located in the rear yard shall not exceed 10% of the rear yard. In Section 1307, the Board of Adjustment shall have the power to hear and decide variances in compliance with applicable sections of KRS 100. So next is KRS 100. Before any variance is granted, the board must find that the variance will not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the character, will not cause a hazard, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the code. And then furthermore, the board shall consider the three of the following. The first being that the requested variance arises from special circumstances which do not generally apply to the land in the general vicinity. And in this case, no. The staff finds that the requested variance does not arise from special circumstances which do not generally apply to other properties in the area. And then second, would the strict application of the provisions of the regulation deprive the applicant of the reasonable use of their land? And in this case, no. Staff finds that the strict application would not create an unnecessary hardship. The applicant could construct a garage that could meet the cumulative floor area. And then the third is the circumstances are the result of the actions of the applicant taken subsequent to the adoption of the zoning regulation. In this case, no, the applicant did find out about this variance during the permit process. So staff is recommending favorably. The variance will not adversely affect public health, safety, or welfare, will not alter the essential character of the general vicinity, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow an unreasonable circumvention of the code. The proposed placement of the detached garage allows the applicant to use their rear yard more fully. And that concludes my presentation. I can take any questions you may have at this time.
All right, Ms. Bessie, thank you very much. Any questions? Being none, thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, we'll now hear from the applicant, Mr. Golfi. If you would, come on up and take the podium. It looks like the microphone is already on. So if you will, I will need to swear you in. So would you please raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you very much. And for the record, would you please state your name and your address?
My name's Ron Golfi. I live at 208 Division Street, Erlanger, Kentucky.
All right, thank you very much, sir. Go ahead.
As staff has said, I'm only asking for an additional 300 square feet. The only thing I would like to add to her remarks is that I have contacted all my neighbors. They've all been pleased with what I've done with the land so far and the house, and they had no disregard for doing it. And also I would like to add that I have an unusually large lot in that neighborhood, and even with the additional 300 square feet of the variance, from the variance, I still have 7,162 square feet of open space, which is considerably more than most people have in their lots around that neighborhood. Other than that, I thank you for your time.
Yes, thank you very much. Do we have any questions or clarifications for Mr. Golfi? I think in staff, I apologize, do you have a report that I can enter into the record? Because I think in the notes we had, and Mr. Golfi, in your notice or your letter that you wrote, you did indicate that you do plan on paving the entire driveway.
Yes.
At some point. Could you elaborate on that?
Yes, the final master plan would include bringing concrete all the way to the roadway. That will be done in phases, but it'll be done on the same permit. Due to financial, I'll have to kind of do it in stages. But it will be completed.
Would that concrete, when you say you're going to do it in phases, are you going to start at the garage coming towards the street, or from the street to the garage?
From the garage back.
How long do you think that's going to take over a period of time?
If I can get the contractors to do the main part, which is the slab for the building and the building, I intend to do most likely right after the first of the year, and what I intend to do is 10-yard increments, truckloads, 10-yard truckloads, and it's going to take me approximately 2.5 truckloads. So I would say by the end, by springtime, I would have that completed.
Okay, thank you.
All right, any other questions for Mr. Golfi? All right, thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
All right, as there's no one else in the audience, we'll go ahead and I will now close the public comment portion of the hearing and open discussion amongst the board members. Any comments? I did have one note I'd like to make that, you know, the variance request, it is to allow approximately 300 more square foot than what is allowed. Granting this waiver does slightly change the character of the property and the neighborhood. As a compromise to maintain the character of the property and the neighborhood, I'd like to see a condition put on this request, something that Mr. Golfi indicated he's going to be doing anyways, but the condition that the entire identified driveway area be paved at the same time within 1 year of this approval, which it meets your requirements of what you've said anyways. I just would like to put a time limit on that. Any questions or concerns around that? Any other comments, questions you guys would like to clarify? All right, there being none, we will now close the discussion by board members. And since I proposed a condition, I will go ahead and make a motion, if you wouldn't mind. I'd like to make the motion on the following, with reference to file BOA 24-0015, a variance request to increase the cumulative floor area of all accessory buildings located in the rear yard in RCPS residential compact subdivision zone. I move to approve the variance based on the facts and considerations contained in the staff report and based on the testimony of staff and witnesses present at the public hearing, subject to the following condition: that the entire identified driveway area be paved at the same time within 1 year from this variance approval. This variance, as conditioned, will not adversely affect the public health, safety, or welfare, alter the essential character of the general facility, will not cause a hazard or nuisance to the public, and will not allow any unreasonable circumvention of the requirements of the zoning regulation. So to clarify, again, the motion is to approve with the condition that the driveway be paved within 1 year of approval of this variance at the same time. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Mr. Whalen made the motion. Mr. Farrow seconded. We'll take a roll call vote. Mr. Farrow.
Aye.
Mr. McVeigh.
Aye.
Mr. Rolfe.
Aye.
And Mr. Whalen, aye. It has passed. So thank you very much, sir. All right, that is the last item for the public hearing portion, so I'll now close the public hearing portion of tonight's meetings. Are there any other preliminary hearings to discuss?
Not this evening, Chairman.
Thank you, sir. Are there any rehearing appeals to discuss?
Not this evening.
All right. Any board items to discuss? All good? Anything from staff to discuss? Ms. Bessie, anything from staff further to discuss at all?
No, sir.
All right, thank you very much. We do have, the next meeting is scheduled for August 26th, 2024. Do we have anything in our hearing notice on that?
I do not believe that we have anything right now. I will update this board as soon as we do hear that, so that if we do need to cancel, we'll have plenty of time for that.
Okay, very good. With that, I will now open the floor for a motion to adjourn.
I make motion to adjourn.
Mr. Rolfe, do we have a second?
A second.
Mr. McVeigh, those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? There being none, the meeting is adjourned. Thank you.